In recent days, public attention in Minot, North Dakota, has turned to a trial aimed at shedding light on the death of a college student from 18 years ago. Will this once shocking case finally find resolution? Join me as we review the investigation process and await the final outcome. On June 4, 2007, the small town of Minot, North Dakota, was shaken by a horrific murder. Anita Nutson, an 18-year-old student at Minot State University, was found dead in her apartment by her father, Gordon Knutson. Gordon had come to check on her after being unable to contact his daughter for several days. He knocked and called out, but there was no response. A window screen was found in the yard. Peering through the bedroom window, he saw Anita lying motionless. The building manager, Laura Knapp, was called to unlock the door. The apartment appeared normal, but upon entering Anita's bedroom, a horrifying scene unfolded. Anita lay on the bed covered with a light pink robe, with blood soaking the mattress. Minot police arrived at the scene at 5:12 p.m. Anita had been stabbed twice in the chest, and a small pocket knife, the apparent murder weapon, was found near her body. Her bedroom window showed signs of being cut, raising the theory of an intruder from outside. However, the apartment showed no signs of being ransacked or robbed. The lack of a clear motive, no robbery, no evidence of sexual assault, made the case a mystery from the start.
This is Anita Knutson reporting live from North Dakota. There is a ginormous tornado coming towards us from the southeast.
Anita was described as a friendly, hard-working girl studying elementary education and working part-time at a local hotel in Minot. She had no obvious enemies, and her family, Father Gordon, Mother Jaron, Brother Danny, and Sister Anna, lived a quiet life in Butte, North Dakota. Her death was not only a personal loss, but also a shock to the Minot community, where murders are rare. Forensic analysis played a crucial role in unraveling the case, but also left many questions unanswered. Forensic pathologist Mary Ann Sins, who performed the autopsy, determined that Anita died from 2 stab wounds to the chest, one piercing her heart, causing near-instant death. The time of death was estimated to be between the night of June 2nd and the morning of June 3rd, 2007, based on the body's decomposition and condition. The murder weapon was a small knife, missing an emblem of a Native American head on one side, found in Anita's bedroom. No clear DNA or fingerprints were found on the knife beyond the victim's blood, making it difficult to identify the killer. Forensic scientist Amy Gebhardt from the North Dakota State Crime Lab later testified that the DNA sample on the knife was insufficient for a conclusion. The bedroom window screen was cut, but Detective Carmen Asham noted that the dust and cobwebs on the outer windowsill were undisturbed, suggesting no one had climbed through. A police reenactment showed the screen was more severely damaged than in testing, raising doubts about whether it was the true entry point or a staged distraction. The theory emerged that the killer was someone Anita knew and who had access to the apartment. The light pink robe Anita was wearing at the time of her death also yielded no useful traces. Minot police, led by Lieutenant Dan Strandberg, immediately launched a large-scale investigation. They collected fingerprints, DNA samples, and analyzed the pocket knife. But initial results pointed to no specific suspect. No unfamiliar fingerprints were found on the weapon, and the DNA collected was too minimal to match anyone in the criminal database. Starting with those close to Anita, police questioned Tyler after he was spotted standing just outside the secured crime scene. Tyler, described by Anita's family as her best friend from high school and her prom dance partner, had also moved into the same apartment complex as Anita. After her death, Tyler created a Facebook page in her memory and frequently visited her family. His enthusiasm raised police suspicion. They questioned him further, but his DNA was not found at the scene, and he was later cleared from the case.
It was just a standard interview. They interviewed me the very second I got up there. When they first interviewed me, it was actually at the crime scene in the van. They were concerned because I knew exactly when I last talked to her, and they kept asking me about that, but that's because when I got up there, the first person I saw was her aunt, and her aunt asked me when the last time I talked to her, so I went on my computer and checked my chat logs, and they just kept hounding me on that, but then they just asked general questions.
Marty Annal, a maintenance worker at the apartment complex, also drew attention. He was with Gordon Knutson during the discovery of the body and was the one who pointed out the cut window screen. No DNA, fingerprints, or traces linked Annal to the scene. He had no known connection to the victim. About a year after the murder in 2008, Marty Annal took his own life. This event sparked speculation in the community and among the Knutson family that he might have felt guilt related to Anita's death. However, his relatives and friends said Annal's breakdown stemmed from his longtime girlfriend's infidelity. A witness reported seeing a man in his 20s, wearing a white t-shirt and dark shorts, running from the area near the apartment around the time of the crime. Investigators produced a sketch of this individual shortly after. Devin Hall from the Fort Peck Reservation in Montana arrived in Minot on the evening of June 4th with his friend Jaron Vivier. Hall matched the sketch's description somewhat. This caught police attention. However, investigation revealed Vivier had no connection to Anita beyond the coincidental location and timing. Family video footage showed Hall and Vivier arriving at the Minot Amtrak station at 9 p.m. on June 4th after Anita's death, proving they were not in Minot during the murder window. Their DNA was also absent from the scene. In 2008, Jaron Vivier was arrested on unrelated sexual offense charges. Devin Hall is currently incarcerated in Montana for theft and burglary. Another suspect, Nichole Rice, 19 at the time, was Anita's roommate. She claims she left Minot on June 2nd to visit family in Velva, 30 miles away, and didn't return until June 4th after Anita was found dead. Rice said she last saw Anita alive on the morning of June 2nd. Her statement initially went unquestioned, but investigators soon noticed inconsistencies when compared to statements from Rice's family and friends. Rice and Anita were also said to have had conflicts while living together. Anita's death left a deep wound in the Nutson family. Jaron Nutson, Anita's adoptive mother, frequently appeared in the media, calling for justice. "We just want to know who did this to her," she said in a 2010 interview with KFYR-TV. Gordon Nutson, who discovered his daughter's body, was haunted by the horrific memory, while her brother Danny Nutson fell into depression and took his own life 3 years later, so in 2010. The family held annual memorials at Butte Cemetery, where Anita was buried, and offered a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to the killer. The Minot community joined in, with students at Minot State University establishing a scholarship in Anita's name to honor her. However, as years passed without progress, the family's hope faded. Nichole Rice, Anita's roommate, was an early suspect, and the shadow of the case followed her. She continued living in Minot, married, had 2 children, and worked at Mainstay Suites restaurant. However, repeated interviews over the years revealed inconsistencies in her statements. Rice claimed she was in Velva from June 2nd to June 4th, but some witnesses reported seeing her in Minot on June 2nd or 3rd. Her family also provided inconsistent timelines. Rice appeared indifferent when brought to the apartment after the murder, immediately noticing her missing iPod, but showing little concern for Anita's death. Some witnesses later claimed that Rice, while drunk, admitted to killing Anita. In 2021, with assistance from Oxygen Network's Cold Justice, Minot police reopened the case and focused on Rice. On March 16, 2022, she was arrested at her workplace at Minot Air Force Base on a Class AA murder charge, facing a potential life sentence without parole. The 2025 trial, Nichole Rice's trial, began on March 17, 2025, in Grand Forks, moved from Minot due to local bias against Rice. Judge Richard Hagar presided, with a jury of 11 men and 5 women. Prosecutor Tiffany Sorgan argued that Rice killed Anita in a fit of rage over their strained relationship. Text messages showed they argued about Anita repeatedly turning off Rice's fish tank, eventually killing the fish. They also clashed over an alarm clock.
Through the testimony of witnesses in that witness stand right over there, and through the introduction of exhibits, 18 years ago, 18-year-old Anita Knutson was stabbed to death in Minot, North Dakota. Anita had dreams of becoming a teacher. She was a college student at MSU. And when she was a student at MSU, her roommate was Nichole Thomas Rice, known as Nichole Thomas at that time. This state intends to show you evidence. There was bad blood between these two girls, and their living situation was highly toxic. State intends to show you evidence that on the early morning hours of June 3rd, 2007, Nichole Thomas Rice stabbed Anita Knutson twice in the chest, killing her. You're going to hear from a number of witnesses who established this timeline.
Detective David Goodman, the lead investigator, testified that Rice was always a suspect due to inconsistencies in her statements and her relationship with Anita. Rice had no alibi witnesses confirming she was in Velva at the time of the murder.
During that entire investigation, did you ever determine that the defendant was not a suspect?
No.
And why is that?
I was suspicious of her from the very beginning, just because of her demeanor when she went into the apartment. Some of the her information she was giving she was contradicting herself, and I just wasn't buying what she was telling us. Some of it, one of my first interviews with her, we discussed ahead of time, don't tell me any lies, don't be untruthful about anything, because if it's illegal, I don't care about that. I'm looking at the big picture here. And in that interview, she did lie.
What was the lie?
She lied about what she did on that Saturday night, where she was at, and what she did.
In your experience, your long experience as a detective, is that significant?
I believe it is, yes.
Why is that significant?
Because it just, in my mind, shows that she's hiding something.
April 21st of 2007.
Okay. So approximately 2 months before Anita died, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What do those text messages say?
Would you like me to read them?
Yes,
Or just-
please.
So this message says, okay, so next time you leave and don't plan on coming back in the morning and lock your door because God knows I'm dying to get in there, shut the fucking alarm off so I don't have to listen to it all morning when I can be sleeping. And just for the heads up, my dad and I are going to talk to the landlord ASAP and see what we can do, because honestly, I have no idea what I did to you to make you all of a sudden be all weird on me. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I sure as hell ain't going to put up with it till December. Well, and that's abbreviated, Dece. This sucks, and I may sound like a bitch. But what goes around comes around. I have tried the being nice strategy, and that just obviously didn't get the point across.
Best of my recollection, my exact words were, I'm sorry to tell you that your roommate's deceased and she's been killed. I used the word she's been killed.
How did the defendant react to that?
She didn't. She was flat. Just no real reaction at all. I didn't know what to expect. I thought I've done this many times throughout my career. You get different reactions from different people, but she just was kind of flat.
Was that reaction unusual compared to the other times that you've relayed the death of someone?
It was unusual, and I remember thinking, what's going on here? Why doesn't she seem concerned about this? Watch her, guys, I think is what I said. Let's see what her reaction is when she gets in the apartment. I'm curious to see how she's going to react to this.
And how did she react?
She was cooperative. She went in with us and she looked around, couldn't find anything. I kept watching her to see if she was going to look in the room. The room was right there and the door was open. The bed was right there. Of course, everything had been removed from the bed, the bedding and the body and everything, of course, was gone. she never looked. I felt as though she wasn't avoiding it, but she never looked, never asked a question about it, nothing. She did lock in on the fact that I think there was like an end table or a small table there. She had some kind of electronic device, Nano or something, I don't remember what it was, that was missing. And she said they took my Nano or whatever it was.
Would that have been an iPod Nano?
It could have been an iPad. I don't remember.
iPod.
Okay, iPod. Okay. I assumed it was some type of device with music on it, and I probably knew the name at the time, but I don't know. And she just kind of fixated on that. She was all of a sudden she was animated. And she was animated about this listening device. And I thought, this is what excites you here? This is what you're concerned about? But she said they stole it. Other than that, she was cooperative and said that everything in the apartment appeared to be just as it was when she last saw it.
So the possibility of losing an iPod got her excited, but not the death of her roommate.
Well, that's the way it appeared to me.
Okay. Were you working there on June 4th of 2007?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Was Nichole working there that day?
Yes.
Do you remember how she was acting that day?
Was this the day that the police called me and stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like the fresh to my memory, but I remember she seemed a bit like hurried that day, a little bit sped up, going about her thing, not as social as usual. She was kind of quick to get to her desk and things.
Would that have been different than the way she would act on other days?
Possibly, yeah.
Do you recall when the dispatch called about getting... Were you there for a phone call from dispatch?
Yes, they called.
What did they call about?
They called me and said that Nichole needed to go to her apartment.
Did they give you any information beyond that?
No, they did not.
Did you relay that information to Nichole?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say in response?
I went to her and I said, the police called, you have to go to your apartment. And she just kind of, I don't even think she looked at me. From what I remember, she just said, no, my roommate's a crackhead. I'm not dealing with it and this and that. And I was kind of just like, okay. So I went back to the phone and I relayed that to the police on the phone. And they said, well, she either comes here now or we're going to come there and take her here.
Did you relay that information to the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And what was her response to that?
I believe she up and left.
Okay. So at that point, she left eTelecare.
Yes.
Key evidence included testimony from Brenda Glynns, Rice's aunt, who said Rice told her Anita looked peaceful in death.
Did Nichole talk to you about Anita's murder during that time?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall what she told you?
She told me that there was a cut screen and the person, whoever did this, cut the screen and was hiding in her bedroom, waiting for Anita to come out of the shower to make the attack.
Okay. Did she tell you anything else?
She said that it was so horrible, she said, to just see Anita lying there. But she looked so peaceful, covered up
Did she say
with a
anything else?
robe, and said that there was a bowl of water in the bathroom sink that whoever did this washed themselves up and washed the knife up.
Okay. I think I stepped over some of your words there. You said that she said that Anita looked peaceful lying there in her robe.
Yes.
Okay. Did she say anything else to you? During that trip?
She was very upset that her iPod was gone, that the person, whoever did this, stole her iPod. She said that Anita was raped and stabbed. And there was no, but it appears to be no struggle.
Okay. Did Nichole ever say anything to you specifically about Anita deserving to die?
Yes.
What'd she say?
She deserved to die.
Anita's parents testified about the tense relationship between their daughter and Rice. Sharon said Anita once asked her father to install a lock on her bedroom door out of fear of Rice.
Do you know what the relationship was like between Nichole and Anita?
From what I got from Anita, it wasn't good.
And why do you say that?
She was kind of scared of Nichole. At least that's how she came over to me. You know, if Nichole was going to be home, she didn't want me over there.
She didn't want you to come over to the apartment?
Right.
How often did you speak with Anita?
Oh, all the time. It seemed like daily almost. We have our cell phones and then.
And did Anita have a cell phone as well?
Yes, she did.
And whose name was that cell phone under?
Her dad's name. Gordon's.
And Gordon. And is Gordon your husband?
Yes.
Now, you said that things were not good between Anita and Nichole.
No, not. They didn't run in the same circles, from what I gathered from Anita. You know, they had separate friends.
William May, Rice's ex-boyfriend, recounted that during a drunken moment at a 2008 party, Rice confessed to stabbing Anita.
I came back from Iraq in the summer of 2008, so it had been shortly after that.
Okay. At this house party, do you recall people talking about Anita's death?
Yes, so we were playing video games and we were sitting on the couch. Nichole and I were sitting on the couch and a couple buddies were playing video games and someone from the kitchen was talking about it, and that's when it was stated, the comment.
When what was stated?
The comment was that from Nichole Rice, it was that she had did it, that she had killed Anita.
Nichole said that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, a moment ago, you testified that you have been to group sessions with other veterans, and you still go to those group sessions.
Correct.
At those sessions, have you heard other veterans say that they have killed people?
Objection here, say, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Overruled.
Yes, there's been people that have stated that.
When those people have said that they have killed people, was that said basically the same way as Nichole said it that night?
Correct.
How did the I'm going to call it a situationship because it's not a relationship. Does that work for you?
That works for me, yes.
Okay. How did the situationship with Nichole end?
So the next day after it was stated, I called the police department, and from there, I gave my statement, same thing I just stated now, and that was the end of it. And then I just kind of cut all ties with Nichole completely.
And why did you cut ties with Nichole?
I'm in the service, was in the service at the time. I didn't need any of that stuff around.
When you were in the situationship with Nichole, did you talk to her about Anita's death?
I mentioned it one time. I asked her if she remembers saying it and if she could say it again, but nothing.
Okay.
Christina Holler, an old friend of Rice, reported a similar confession.
Okay. And did she tell you something during that conversation?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
That she had done it to her roommate.
What did she specifically state to you?
I'm not 100% word for word, but that she had gotten into an argument with her and had stabbed her.
Do you remember what she told you the argument was about?
An alarm clock.
Did she give you any other details about her roommate?
That she was wearing a white robe.
And she specifically stated that she stabbed her roommate?
Yes.
Defense attorney Rick Sand called the charges against Rice a media fabrication, driven by pressure from cold justice. He argued police failed to fully investigate other suspects like Hall. The defense emphasized the cut window screen as evidence of an outside intruder. Doug Counds, a private investigator and former FBI agent, testified for the defense, asserting Rice lacked the ability to stage the scene and that her DNA was not on the weapon.
That Nichole did not kill Anita. Now, what happened to Anita is terrible. It's awful. It's every family's nightmare. It's every parent's nightmare. It's every town's nightmare. And Anita died in 2007. We're sitting here in 2025. Now, we talked in jury selection about what changed between now and then. And I'm going to show you what changed. I'm going to tell you what changed. The witnesses are going to show you what changed. It was pressure from a TV show, a nationally syndicated program that came in, worked with the Minot Police Department, didn't dig up anything of substance, but put an incredible amount of pressure on the state's attorney's office, the police department, to bring charges in this case. Now, you're going to hear from the original officers. I anticipate you'll hear from them. They're on the state's witness list. Those are good officers. They worked this case really hard. And they followed up with a lot of people. And they didn't charge Nichole. They didn't charge Nichole because she didn't do it. Nichole got charged after a national media circus descended on Minot. You're going to hear evidence, just like the state said. You're going to hear evidence that they reached out to the FBI to find out who did this. They didn't say Nichole. And I'll tell you who they said. They said it pointed to a man named Devin Hall. And I'm going to come back to that. Every time the police called Nichole, she showed up. She talked to him. She said, "How can I help?" Not everybody did that. Now, this Devin Hall, he was a 17-year-old kid from the Fort Peck reservation out in Montana. The evidence is going to show you he traveled to Minot. That's where the murder happened. The evidence is going to show you he admitted to possession of the murder weapon, which was a locking knife, like a buck knife. It had an Indian head on one side. At one time, it had Indian heads on two sides, but one fell off. And the evidence is going to show you that when the police showed that knife to Devin, they said, "Is this your knife?" And he's going to say, "I've had that knife." And you say, "How do you know?" "It's missing the Indian head on the other side." You're going to find out that Devin Hall was caught breaking into other women's apartments that weekend through a window. Please listen to that. The state's going to tease that evidence out too, but they're going to try to change how it sounds. It's also important that you're going to look at someone's behavior. Devin Hall, the evidence is going to show you, continued this kind of behavior. And he had implications, not just back on his home reservation, but federally as well. You're going to hear testimony regarding a suspect that was the lead suspect in this case that ran from the apartment complex that Anita and Nichole lived in. You're going to hear this man was described as a 6'2" Native American young man who was sprinting at 7 o'clock in the morning from that apartment complex to the next apartment complex with blood on his t-shirt. You're going to hear from officer reports. You're going to hear that they worked with the FBI, like I told you, and you're going to hear from other investigations, some of our own, that point to Devin Hall. That's where all the fingers point in this case.
The Knutson case divided the Minot community. Social media debates erupted, with some believing Rice was innocent, inflamed by cold justice pressure, while others saw her as a killer who evaded justice for too long. The Knutson family received widespread sympathy, but also faced strain from public scrutiny. Local outlets like the Minot Daily News and national ones like Court TV covered the case relentlessly, turning it into a cultural phenomenon in North Dakota. After a trial spanning March the 17th to March the 26th, 2025, the verdict in Anita Nutson's murder case was announced.
Court will now have the clerk read the verdict.
State of North Dakota, in District Court, County of Ward, North Central Judicial District. State of North Dakota Plaintiff versus Nichole Aaron Rice, Defendant. Criminal number 51, 2022, CR 00421. Verdict form. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant, Nichole Aaron Rice, not guilty of...
The Grand Forks, North Dakota, jury found Nichole Rice, accused of killing Anita Nutson, not guilty of the Class AA murder charge. Following the verdict, Rice's family and legal team expressed strong emotions of joy and relief. Meanwhile, the Knutson family voiced disappointment and continued questioning justice for Anita. The case, a cold case for nearly 18 years, remained controversial in the community even after the trial's conclusion. What are your thoughts? Who do you think the killer is, and do you believe the truth will one day come to light? Leave a comment and follow me for more videos. Thank you.